Hi, it's Chris from Clearly Crafted. Getting ready to finish up our really pretty sunflower tile here. See, it's just a regular old store tile. The back will get painted, and then I'll put a protective coating so it can sit on a countertop. People use cork. I am going to use some backing that I have that I find that this works really well, and it's actually cheaper and easier to get. The liners that you would use for a drawer or a cabinet, they seal really well. They glue to the back. They adhere well, and it's a little more protective. And I think you see it less. I think sometimes that cork backing kind of stands up and there's definitely a separation. So I'm using matte Mod Podge with this because I wanted more of the matte look. If I don't like the matte, then I can go over it with something else, but kind of it's harder to go back. So this has been ironed down using my iron. So I use the iron-on method with a piece of parchment. There's crackle medium underneath this. So you'll actually start to see, once I put the glue on top, the cracks will really start popping through. So, and we're just going to do nice and easy brush strokes because this is still napkin. So single ply, it can come off very easily here, but this is a whole piece, which was really neat the way this looks. So we're just going to go over it with the Mod Podge, and I tore the edges so that there's less there. I will glue them down. I tend to take acrylic paint and do a border around my pieces. I think it makes it look more finished and almost like a frame. You can see some bubbles starting to pop up here. So we're gonna just carefully. Now, I don't freak out about bubbles because I think it brings some texture. I'll watch pulling. This is a delicate napkin, so I'll watch pulling too much. And freaking out over bubbles when you're first putting on your glue really doesn't help you. You start to freak out and then you worry about what you're doing. It's not until after it dries, because sometimes as things dry, they settle and the glue goes back down. So I wouldn't be freaked out over bubbles until it was dry and bubbled. Then I freak out. But I like some bubbles. I like some texture. I like to call it decoupage-ish. True decoupage looks painted on, so you have none of that. I think some of these more rustic pieces, the ones that you want to look, I call it country. You know, doing something that looks like it was made on an old piece of wood. Looks like it would be bubbling and peeling and kind of gives it that aged antique feel. I like that. And then I'll have sealer on top, so it will protect it. So this is just really even, and I'm not even going to do the edges yet, where I'll just glue them down. And I can see some bubbles forming. It always happens, even with, you know, the iron-on method. What happens with the iron-on method is great because it seals it really well, but then the glue reactivates when you go in with the top coat. So you need to be ready for that. It's not like the iron-on method is it. Unless you go right to a varnish, and even then sometimes the varnish will activate the glue. Any kind of moisture is going to reactivate your glue. So, and it's usually just the first coat, so you want to go lightly. You can see this is a little bubbled here, but let's see, that I actually kind of like that. And you're going to be able to see things through that. I just don't want it to tear, so I want to be careful. Because if I really try and get those bubbles out, that napkin's going to tear. So, not worth it for me after all that. This is probably just going to be a piece here for me at the house, unless somebody tells me they really, really like it, and then I give everything away. but it was just a pretty piece. Looking outside, it's cold and it's snowy, and we have about 5 or 6 inches of snow here in New Jersey today, and unfortunately I slipped and fell on ice the other day, so I was a little sore. So it's a good way to sit and work on some projects that I'm working on. But so that is the top coat. And you can see it's already starting to dry. I'll just lift it. And you can see the cracks coming through, especially here, like where we got some of those bigger cracks through. So it's gonna look like old wood. See that? Yeah, I'm bringing it up there. So, and I think we'll have a few more pop through as this kind of settles. You'll start seeing, you can see especially through the flowers, you're seeing the cracks. That's why I really wanted to avoid the ivory with the yellow. I think that yellow would have tinted the background so much that it would have brought more yellow, where this now looks, you can definitely see these flowers are popping out of this. And you can even see these background, the black and white from this. This is a really nice napkin. Little temperamental to work with. I will say I would put it in the fragile napkin category. As soon as it gets wet, it wants to freak out. But if you just kind of give it a chance and let it do its own thing, I think the iron-on method with this was probably my best bet. And we'll see how it settles. And I'm just going to let this dry. I'm doing my darndest to keep my hands off of it. I'm going to let this one dry. And then hopefully I will come back with a couple more coats. And what I'll do is I'll show you how I end up finishing this. And we'll see how it turns out. Sometimes they don't work. Honestly, it's a craft. It's arts and crafts. You know, if you don't like it, you throw it away. You wash it off. You try not to freak out over it and just go again. I feel like each time I learn something new, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I'll share with you what I figure out what works. I'll show you what doesn't work. And if this doesn't work, then into the bin and we'll try it again. All right. Have a great day.